communicate to Rocio that I too went through that, when that could serve me as some type of upliftment, because we're going through postpartum, we're going through post, after you give birth, and there's a lot of stigmas. And like in one of my episodes called Mom Guilt, I had to deal with that when my son, he fell off. I
listened to that one.
Yeah, he fell off, and I was just like, oh my God, like my baby just fell. Less than a foot. I don't want people to think that it's like high that over there. Okay. But the thing is that once I started telling people about it, all of my friends started confessing like their mom drops. That's what I, like the little mom drops. Like, hey, like people that were listening to the episode afterwards were calling me like, I dropped both my kids, both of them. And I think the big one, I think there's an issue with the big one, but that's just between you and me. And I'm just dying of laughter. But in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, like, all of these women are telling me about that, but I don't have any people around me going through IVF that have told me about the extra guilt you feel, where now you feel to yourself like, am I not a good mom? Maybe why I couldn't get pregnant, because look at this, I can't even be responsible here. And, it's like this extra like little string that doesn't stop irking you, and it's hard. It is hard.
Yeah. Sorry.
So you know what it is that it's very uncomfortable for people to laugh at this type of thing, because it's like you don't want to laugh, but in my mind I have to laugh, because humor, that's how I deal with things,
right?
Is through humor.
I agree.
I can't be serious because the moment I'm serious, it's just like and I'll just stay there. And I'm not trying to do that.
Right.
Up, positive, moving forward.
So the family situation was definitely, was it just your mom, or was there anybody else that was like?
Oh, no. Hello. My dad is a typical Dominican man where any and all problems don't exist. Hey, Dad, I'm having infertility issues. Eso no es nada. That's nothing. You ain't going through anything. That's in your mind. In my mind, it's in my cuca. That's where it is. That's where I'm having the problem. I'm having the problem down there, Dad. And he was just like, tú no tienes nada. You don't have anything. That's what I got. My brothers, I was born and raised with no sisters and 4 brothers. And my brothers was like, whoa, that's heavy. And they were doing one of these, like that Homer Simpson, like. Like, that's what I got from my family. And I can't blame them. It's not something normal that is discussed. It's not something normal that happens. It's not part of what they consider a normal thing that a Dominican woman will go through. And that's where, I really held on to my friends, and they were my anchor throughout all of this. And I feel like I reached out, and they were so supportive, and they were so assisting to my situation. And I appreciated them that. I appreciated it so much that they went out of their way for it. And, excuse me, but still, I feel like I still needed more. And that's why I felt passionate so much about Tootsie Rolaids, because there's no way I'm the only Latina in Brooklyn, Nueva York going through this. No way.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you something, and you can disagree with me on this or not. I don't think there's anybody that's out there right now with this situation making it humorous, Latina or not. There isn't. In this, is there? I don't know. I've never heard of it.
No, because the thing is that I feel like we're not allowed to be. Why not?
Right.
The thing is that there is one IVF page that I follow who is a woman that's going through IVF, and she's a comedian. You have to look back in these situations and laugh. I have a question. If a woman that goes through a divorce, right? That's a serious situation, right? But when you're in a room full of people who went through a divorce, you make light of the situation. Like, and you know what he did to me?
We're all laughing.
We're all laughing like, este estúpido, this idiot. You know what I mean? And you bond through the laughter, and then laughing, you're bonding through the tears, and you're bonding through so many different aspects of what happens. And the thing is that I feel like that's how it should be with IVF. Like, nobody's talking about these ass shots that I'm constantly taking that do absolutely nothing for the curvature of my, derriere. How about that? These progesterone shots that I have to take 90-degree angle into my muscle in order for my body to, thicken up the walls. So that way I'm super, super sticky inside. So when I have a transfer, an egg doesn't fall.
Right.
So it sticks on like a Velcro. It's like I'm growing a Velcro inside my uterus. Right. And the thing is that when you're dealing with IVF, you're already at a low, And continuing to talk about it with other people that can't relate kind of make you feel a little lower. So you prefer not to talk about it. But if you create a circle where, like I know that, in my culture and specifically in my family, we take any bad situation and we just make it into the biggest stand-up comedy session of all time. Because we're like, and then he got robbed. And his shoe flew off. Like, you know what I mean? So the thing is that it's kind of like, why can't I have that space to laugh a little? It's a serious topic. Women are going through this all the time. But there's a moment where camaraderie happens when you're laughing, when you're poking fun at situations that happen. Like I remember when I used to go to my fertility treatments and I was scared poopless. And I, again, identified with humor to deal with things. So there was this doctor who was limping and I kept calling him the peg leg pirate. And I was like, oh, look at the peg leg pirate. And she goes, who's that? I was like, the doctor with the limp that he looks like he has like a bionic leg, but you and I both know that's probably wood in there. And she was just like, ah! And my doctor was just dying of laughter. And she was just like, yeah, because the peg-legged pirate. And I was like, eh! And meanwhile, she's like, so let's talk about medication. So, you know what I mean? Like, the thing is that I think that I'm allowed to laugh about everything that's happening because you cannot, it's like, I'll give you a great example to what I'm trying to say. Have you ever watched the movie The Neverending Story, which one of my favorite movies of all time?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's kind of like walking in the swamps of sadness.
Yeah.
Where you're constantly surrounded by sadness. Everywhere you go. I cannot be Artax. I'm not going to let the swamps of sadness consume me. I have to be a trail. I have to pull through. I have to pull through to a point that if I have to leave some of myself behind to get obsessed with the swamps of sadness in order for me to move forward, then I'm going to do that. And that's how I feel that Tootsie Rolaids, especially with this topic, kind of like combine itself in. Like, yes, it's humorous, but you have to persevere. And if anything about the podcast, it's just a way for me to tell you, you go, girl, you got this. And you know what? There's going to be a lot of women that are going to go more times than IVF, than 2 times and 3 times and 4 times and 5 times in order for you to get it right, get what you need for you right to move forward and persevere. And you know what? If after IVF, this does not work out for you, that means that the title of mom will still come to you a different way. Because you have surrogacy and you also have adoption. And, there's so many different levels of the title mom that you can give to yourself. And that is a serious conversation that I had with my husband about surrogacy and adoption. And I told him, you know what, I think it would be better if I do adoption. Because I grew up as a children's leader in church, in a Christian Pentecostal church. And I felt like I need to make a difference in somebody's life and continue on the legacy of just positivity, keeping things up, keeping things positive.
Right. I guess what I was trying to say is that even though the ones who are listening or who may be listening, they may not need to be Latina to listen to you because
absolutely not.
You know what I mean? I think that you just are providing just this comic relief when they're going through this process. I mean, even I've never been through IVF and I was listening to your episodes just fine. Just being a mom, the dropping the kid. And when you spoke to the doctor, I mean, those experiences I experienced, I mean, I thought it was the end of the world. And, and he was like, well, how far did you drop? How far did they fell? And when I told him I'm crying, he's like laughing. He's like,
I know. My doctor was just like, girl, my baby dropped at 8 months. And I'm here like, you're a doctor and you drop your baby. There is hope for us all.
Right. So I think this is such a great thing that you're doing. I think it's amazing and it's hilarious. Hilarious.
Yes, I started to do the live at 9 because I kind of realized, and somebody told me, you have such a bubbling personality, and I feel like I would be more engaged to listen to your podcast. So I started doing my live at 9 on Instagram, and it's just for people to get to know me. So when you listen to me, you kind of have like my mannerisms and how I would react, or my eye, or my gestures, kind of behind the words, which makes it a little bit more funnier. But that's, I'm trying to create a safe space. Don't get me wrong, for anybody going through IVF, absolutely. But I'm also trying to make it safe for, people of color, my Black and brown sisters, to have a space that, you can't talk about IVF